Skull types in reptiles. Reptiles are ectothermic animals whose body is covered by epidermal scales. They possess monochondrial skull that rests on a long neck made of atlas, axis, and other cervical vertebrae. They have two sacral vertebrae which are fused together to transfer the weight of the body onto the hind limbs. Pentadactyl limbs bear sharp claws which help the animal in creeping and climbing. Reptiles were the first vertebrates that laid a large shelled cladoid egg that could develop on land. The egg has three membranes, amnion, allantois, and yolk sac, which helps in the development of embryo on land in dry conditions. Generally, in reptiles with a big jaws and large head, and the skull becomes too heavy for the neck to support it. Therefore, vacuities of fossa, temporal fossa, developed in reptiles to lighten the skull and also to provide space for accommodating powerful jaw muscles. The skull names come from the word apse, which means arc. The number and the types of arch or enclosed fenestrae or windows give the skull types their names. These openings actually give the skull extra spaces for the attachment of jaw muscles, allowing animals to snap their jaws more forcefully. Temporal fossae have been used to classify amniotes by Osborn in 1903. Taxa such as Anopsida, Diapsida, Ureopsida, and Synopsida were named after the type of temporal fossae. Temporal fenestration or fossae are large holes on the sides of the skull. The function of these holes has long been debated. Many believe that they allow muscles to expand and lengthen, resulting in a greater bulk of the jaw musculature. The longer muscle fiber allow an increase in the gap of the jaw to handle larger prey. Example, Anopsid skull, generally it is found in Catalosaurians and Chelonians, Anopsida. This is the most primitive type of skull of reptiles that occurred in primitive labyrinthodont amphibians and then in primitive reptiles like Simoria. The Anopsida were the first reptiles to appear in Carboniferous period, which is a golden age of amphibians. I think it is nearly about 345 to 280 million years ago in geological time scale. That period is called a Carboniferous period. Anopsid means without arch, meaning that they have no fenestrae, fossae in the skull. The Anopsids were very represented by small herbivorous procolophonids and small in size generally, and much larger if they are herbivorous, for example Periosaurus. Colonia that today includes tortoise and turtles still possess this type of skull, which has a complete skull roofing without temporal fossa. As the skull is completely covered by bones, this type of skull is heavy but strong. Turtles have small head and jaws without teeth, and hence the weight of the skull can be borne by the neck. But other reptiles that evolved massive jaws and head must evolve lighter skulls so that it could be supported by the neck and also larger and stronger jaw musculature. This is achieved by developing vacuities or empty spaces in the temporal area of the skull and sometimes before the eye orbit. Next, Ureopsid skull, which is generally found in Plesiosaurus. Ureopsid means wide arch. They have one fossa high on both sides of the skull. The Ureopsids are represented by the marine reptiles such as Ichthyosaurus, Plesiosaurus, and Placodons, which are all completely extinct groups. The Ureopsids rose from the Diapsid, which had two fossae but sealed one of the openings to strengthen their skulls for life under water. Parapsid skulls found in Ichthyosaurus. This type of skull evolved in Ichthyosaurus which included dolphin-like aquatic reptiles that preyed upon fishes or other aquatic animals. This skull also had only one pair of temporal vacuity or fossae on the upper side, guarded by two additional bones, namely postfrontal and supratemporal, which pushes the postorbital and squamosal bones towards the lower side. The fossae are guarded by parietal bones above, and the condition found in Ichthyosaurus is distinguished from the Euryapsid condition because their temporal fossae are only bordered by the parietal, postfrontal, and supratemporal. This condition has been called parapsid, but it only represents a minor variation from the Euryapsid pattern. Come to diapsid skull, which is found in Spinodon, snakes, lizards, crocodiles, and dinosaurs. This type of skull has two temporal fossae on either side of the skull. The superior temporal vacuity fossa is surrounded by parietal above and postorbital and squamosal below. The inferior temporal vacuity is guarded by the postorbital and squamosal above and jugula and quadrajugula below. This type of skull is lighter and has more space for the attachment of jaw muscles. It is found in large number of living reptiles and also in extinct dinosaurs. Dinosaurs and crocodiles also have a pair of preorbital vacuities anterior to their eyelids. Synapsid skull, which is found in Pelycosaurus and Therapsids. This type of skull was found in Dimetrodon, Pelycosauria, and the mammal-like therapsid reptiles, Cynognathus, in which there was only one inferior temporal fossa on each side of the skull, but it was guarded by postorbital and squamosal bones above and jugula and quadrajugula below. Synapsida means together arch. The synapses were the dominant land vertebrates from the late Carboniferous period to the end of Triassic period. Although the synapses were reptiles, they later gave rise to mammals. This is all about skulls of reptiles. You have to understand this.